Hi everyone, we'll do another tutorial on creating water and realistic, well, sort of realistic effects in SculptrVR, because I've been practicing a bit on waves and water lately because it's just been something I like and it's been good fun doing it. So this is just your standard colours you start with. So I normally start by doing a couple of layers. I'll make 1.2 the water and 1.1 can be land. So we'll go to the water for a start. So I usually just line up all these top ones as my water when I'm doing it, just because it's easier to select. So we'll just get a bit of a selection. I'll make these all shiny for a start. So we've got that colour, and we'll just go somewhere around about here, in the darker sort of greenish, more of an ocean colour, and I'll get a slightly greener, lighter colour maybe. So we've got a selection of 4 different colours there. I'll just make white shiny as well, which are these ones down the bottom. So the middle one is your metallic, which I find, and definitely go to smooth poly for the water. So we'll just put down some base water to start with. So that's pretty good. We'll just go to the bulge deflate brush, which is on the sphere tool row, and then just scale it down a little bit. The reason you do this is just that it breaks the surface up a little bit, so it's not quite, because if you touch it later on with a smaller brush, it'll change the whole thing to adapt to it. This just sort of gets it prepped for when you do. And if you want to sort of set the scene for a start, you can just run some waves, like if you run your bulge deflate brush across on an angle, just sort of creating a bit of a swell. Just sort of changing the size as I go, just to bring that up a bit quicker. Sort of got a bit of a swell going on there when you get down low. So we'll just do one big open ocean wave in the center. So we'll get the puck tool, which is like the disc there above the cone, and we'll just sort of start it half submerged, about yay big. And as I slowly come out of the water, I'll just increase it up a little bit, and then just slowly bring it back down again. It's only really just laying down some base material to work with. So we'll now get back to the bulge deflate brush. This is sort of, like I probably said before in videos, it's one of the best tools for blending bulk laid down material into what's existing. So I'm just going around the back of the wave here just to make it sort of look like the swells sort of rolling and building up. Now I'll just run the smoothing brush over that. Now we'll go back to the puck tool, and we'll use it on delete mode now. We'll start there, at the end there, and just try and keep your hand as steady as possible. I could actually probably go a little bit bigger. Just basically taking the front off this wave. Just pretty good there. So now I'll just swap back to the smooth tool, and that'll just get rid of all those undulations that the bulge brush caused there. I'll just go back to this and just pop. I'm just using the bulge tool here. I'm just getting my eye down, looking along the top. I'm just trying to make it look so it's a bit more. You don't see too well. The waves go up and down, but you don't see like sort of random drops and things in them. So I'm just trying to get it so it's looking sort of like it would have formed naturally like this. I mean, you can spend ages getting it right when you're really wanting to get it just so in a scene or whatever you're wanting to do. So now we've got that's the base part of the swell done. So we'll just build this piece in the middle up, because this is where it's, if there's a sandbar or something underneath here, it's started to crest a bit earlier here, where it's going to start breaking. We'll just build that top bit up a bit. And now we'll go back to the puck tool. What we'll do is we'll just run that along the top there, and we could probably actually go to the white, smooth white, just for a bit of foam and froth coming down the front there. And we'll just get back to this one. I'm just trying to get this so that it blends in nicely, so just a constant adjustment really, just to get to what, if you study waves and stuff, or whatever you're trying to sculpt, you sort of get an idea after a bit what it should look like. So this is just, I get a bit carried away there. I'll come back around to this side. Just undermine this a little bit. Now I'll go back to the bulge deflate brush and just sharpen up that edge, and just deflate away, erode away some of that stuff we don't need there. Just trying to blend this back in so it's natural, and then we want it to be more and more overhung as we come up to where it's been cresting and breaking down the face of the wave. So we're just going further back as we get into it. I just want to bring this out a little bit here, because you notice we've got a bit of a, it's looking better there. Might need to curve that around a little bit there. Get more of a natural curve going on as it comes down into the breaking part of the wave. Now we'll just do the same on this side, basically copy and repeat. Just delete some of this, erode it down with deflate. I'll just bring this out a little bit up here. Curve that around down onto the face of the wave there. And we'll just erode a bit out where the tube part of the wave would be. So we're starting to get some shape there now. So now we'll go back to the puck tool. I think I just need to get a bit more foam and froth, because this is a big ocean wave, so we'll just put a bit of the stuff down the front of the wave. Just, I'm sort of randomly varying the size as I do this, just so it's not quite so uniform. And then I also go into subtract mode or sculpt mode and just carve a bit off it, just so it's not one big smooth lump of white. That should be pretty good for now. We'll come back and tidy some of this stuff up later. So now we'll switch to the light blue, and this is probably how I get the blending effect. So that at the moment we've just used one colour, well, two colours. I've used white and the darker ocean blue that I found. And another trick that I'll probably do, which I normally do in my sculpts when I'm working, is you go back to the cube brush. You can even go to a different layer if you want, even layer 1, and just put that there. Go back to my colour palette. And that way when you're working on it later, you can always come back, and if you want to select the exact same colour, say, and you've got reset your colours, click on the eyedropper tool, click your colour, bang, you've got it. I mean, it's alright if you've got patches where it's easy to find it again, but sometimes when you started blending, it's kind of hard to find that exact colour. It doesn't matter too much, but if you are after the exact colour again, once you've found a nice colour, just save it. You could even save a whole save file with cool colours you found, or combinations, or whatever. So now we're going to go back to that light blue and go to the cone paintbrush, because it's like closest to an airbrush, and clicking the A button changes it to blend mode. So now I'm just going to do a little bit. Oh, first we've got to swap back to the water layer, don't we? So now we're on 1.2. Just run a bit of this along the back of the wave to make it look like there's some aerated water underneath. Now we'll go to white. Just go lightly over it, because white just sort of changes it so it's a bit more bubbly and watery. Just very lightly along the top there. And now we'll go back to solid white, and then we just start, this is what I do anyway, it's just whatever effect you're after, if you're copying a picture or whatever, just to give it a bit more disturbed water in the front of the wave there. And it looks good from further out too, like it might not look too much close in. Just do another bit. This is where the water's in a bit of turmoil as it's just really starting to boil up on the front of the wave here before it pounds down the front of it. Another trick I've learned recently, and instead of just adding the paint for the froth, you can get the puck tool on a bit of white and sort of just move it around and give it a bit of that as well, like especially in the curves where it's peeling over the face. I mean, you can also use a bit of delete mode just so it's not so uniform. I'll just give it a bit of a underneath here where it's scooping out. Just unbulge that a little bit and deflate it a little, just a fraction. And we'll just put a little bit of that on the other side. And we'll just bring this down the face and curve it under like it's really wrapping itself back up underneath there like it's a huge wave. And we can just chew some of that out with the erode tool, sculpting mode again, just getting rid of some stuff, adding some stuff. Just really it's just adding effects to the wave now. And I just want to get back to the paintbrush on that light blue, and I just want to get a good layer underneath there as though the light's shining through. Doesn't want to be all the way down the face of it, it's just where the water would be, technically it would be thin enough to sort of show some sunlight through from the back of it, so just to give the illusion that it's actually transparent. And then this is with the new addition of the placeable light that Nathan's added to this app. This is where it becomes quite cool now for doing these sort of effects. So you select the light bulb, which is third in from the rocket, and you can try different colours for whatever effect. I'm just going to try light blue here, and I'm just going to make sure it's big enough, so it's about there, and I just want to put it under the water because it'll still shine up through that surface. But as you can see, let's go back to this mode, it's placed down into there. When you come back to here now, it looks like we've got a lot of light shining through the wave. You can actually try changing different colour. So I'll try white, see what that comes out like. It's not too bad either. We might just leave it on that one for now. That's got quite a nice look to it. And we've got a little bit of disturbed water in front of that, obviously that turmoil of wave there. So I'll just go back to this blue, the light blue again. Just do a little bit around the leading edge of the wall of foam here. Doesn't have to be much, because it'll be pouring into that, just absolutely pounding that water apart just with the foam and the aeration to it. I've probably gone a little bit too white there now. It's just a playing around game just to get what looks right, and you'll know what looks right once you start looking at pictures and things. Just putting a little bit of blue on the back of the wave here. Some of this could probably have a little bit more just because you're looking through a thinner layer of water there. Although this is a big wave, so there's actually a lot of water pouring over that face. Now we'll just go back to puck tool and just sculpt a little bit of this out because it looks a bit too smooth. And we'll just go and add some particles here on white. This will do, just to give it a bit of spray coming up over the front. and the more sort of painting and blending you do, the more, you know, realistic looking textures you can get. So I'm just going to muck around now with the white cone paintbrush and just do little swirls of white in the water that could be just little pockets of froth and disturbed water where the last from left over from the last wave. Just you don't want to make stuff too uniform or it starts looking a bit funny. Another trick you can do for creating sort of like currents and getting sort of the water movement up into the waves is go back to the bulge brush and just sort of make it look like you've got sort of lines being pulled up into the wave itself. Now if you sort of look at which way you're curving, you sort of try and make it look like they're sort of turning into the wave, which way it would be sucking the water around. Just sort of getting a bit of an understanding of what the physics will be involved, and then you can sort of make it start looking semi-realistic. I'm not sure if this is actually doing a lot here, but I'm just going to do a few anyway. Just do another rolling swell in front here. Actually, I think looking at it needs to be bulked out a little bit in here, I think, because it's like it's crested and then it's rolled off big time down the bottom here. So this is just almost like an avalanche of white water pouring down the face, like something that would be at Jaws in Hawaii or somewhere like that. Now I'll just go back to cone paintbrush. Just do a little bit of white stuff coming off the white frothy stuff on the top of this wave here because it's just looked a little bit too blended. We need to go back to bulge deflate just to tidy up this crest a little bit on the rear of it. It's just not quite blended in nicely. And we probably want to have back to the cone white paintbrush again, and maybe just do a bit of previous wave has sort of been out in front here, and it's obviously once it's broken it just becomes white water, so you just in between a mix of that was on blend mode, then you go back to solid and just little swirls of frothy stuff in there amongst it all. Oh, you can spend hours and hours just finishing off it, and as every little detail you add, it just adds so much more to the overall finished result. But this sort of stuff is quite time consuming because the smaller you go, obviously the better it looks. Obviously it's going to add file size because it starts reducing the size of the voxels, but that's pretty much what we're after. You could just carry on and do the whole thing, but we'll just do some land now so you can see how I do the effects where it hits a beach or something. So we'll go to pink and I'll just get some nice sandy coloured there, that'll do. And we'll go to layer 1.1 and I'll use the puck again for the beach. So we'll just do a nice big curving sand beach. Probably a bit much up there, we'll do some cliffs up there after. So we're probably a little bit close to that big ocean wave, so we'll just back this off a little bit. Now we'll go to bulge deflate again and just smooth all this up on bulge mode, just sort of helps. And then we'll go to smooth. And this is just trying to smooth that front and just bevel it off a little bit so it's not quite so steep, but it's actually looking a bit steep there, so I'll just use the deflate tool again just to take that down a little bit. Just put a little bit of a curve in it, I think, give it a bit more interest. Now I'll just take that down. So that'll do. So now we'll go to rocks and we'll go do some rocky reefs and stuff. So we'll go to grey, same layer, and just using the cube tool. It's just changing the angle, veering it around like I've done in other videos when you're doing terrain. It's just keeping a different size all the time and constantly changing that angle of the cube to get the effect so it doesn't look too repeated. And you can always tidy it up with the bulge deflate again after. I'll put some cliffs up the back here so it doesn't just look like it goes nowhere. Now I'll just go into carve mode and carve a bit of natural looking sort of landscape into this. Well, as much as we can. Bring this out to the sea here. This can be the other side of the bay. Just trying to keep it as sort of ununiform and as random looking as possible. So that'll do for now. And now I'll go back to the green and I'll just try and get a slightly lighter coloured green there. Go back to the puck tool and I'm just going to put some grass on top of these cliffs. So I just use the puck tool for this because it's quite quick at doing it. Just come around the back here and fill this in because that'll save us a bit of file space, not having to show that too much in smaller detail if I just make it as big as possible around there, so it's just one area. And just bring a bit of this, might as well bring a little bit of grass down towards the beach there, a little bit on the base of the cliffs there. And we'll just put a couple of little pockets of vegetation around on the cliff face because that can sometimes look quite good, just where there's sort of natural sort of looking flat spots. Now I'll just get rid of some of that and then we'll go to the smooth brush on just paint color only, shape only, so that's just one click on the A and that takes it to shape only, and then if you push it again it goes colors, or shape and colors. I just want just the shape at the moment, so I don't want to mix the green with the grey just yet. I'm not trying to smooth the cliff face out too much, the rocks look good a bit jagged, so I'm just doing the grass and the vegetation, so that'll do for now. So now we'll go get some light brown, so that'll do something like that, darker there, and then just go back to half opacity on the cone paintbrush, just give it a little bit of on the highlights parts of the cliff, probably similar to what I've done on a lot of my other videos where when I'm painting terrain or bricks or ground, just trying to do a bit of natural fake shading to it. Now I'm doing the dark grey just sort of on the bits that are further back, like I was doing the light brown on the bits that were protruding out sort of. So I'll do that. That's sort of most of those sort of darker areas sort of covered. Now I'll just get black and just go across the whole thing roughly. Might be too much, I'll just back it off a little bit. And then I could even get brown and just go over with a bit of brown just to, and then maybe just, no, that's too much. I just want to go over this top of this grassy stuff with some brown just to mix that colour up a little bit. Just browning on the beach at the moment, just here, just to give it a little bit of texture to it. Okay, now we'll go back to dark grey and I'll just finish doing some of the shaded parts of these rocks over here, and I might do all the ones I've placed actually. Just these ones you don't have to be, I'm not being too fussy about. Just squirt a bit of brown, dark grey in the shaded areas, and then a bit of brown on the top, just to make them look a bit weathered and more natural. So now that we've got those roughly coloured. I just might go over them with a little bit of darker. Okay, so now we'll stay on the land layer, but we'll go to like shiny white and go to half opacity, which is on the blend paint. And just run around the edge because it makes it look like they're shiny, like they've actually been wet with the waves. Just a little trick that I've picked up. It doesn't quite have a smooth blended look to the these ones can be fully covered to the matte surface, but when you go along the beach here, you'll see if you go like this, you can get a sort of a wet look to the sand by just making it just curve in a little bit, like where the waves have sort of run up the beach or something. Now we need to go back to the water layer 1.2 and just get that water where the waves would be sort of rolling and just sort of lapping at the shore there. I just see we've missed a bit along here. I'll just do this. And we'll go back to the water layer. Bit around these rocks where it'd be a bit discoloured. Okay, so now I've done that. We'll just go back to, actually we probably need a bit more than that, so I'll just really being quite quick here, but it's all it takes sometimes. And I'll just go back to the bulge tool here, because now that we've got a bit of sort of, now we know the layout of our shore, we can just put some little, almost just little waves, the sort of remnants of the white water washing in. Just curve them around rocks and things, because that makes it look like you've actually got, you know, water's deflecting off objects and things. Just using the bulge tool here all the time. Just come around these rocks. Should do that. Now we'll go back to the paint tool. We'll go to solid colour here. Just do some solid along the tops of these little ridges that I've just put in with the bulge tool. Put some more thicker stuff around the backs of these rocks. That'll just help show up that the water's a bit disturbed there around those areas. Just put a bit more of that through here. And then if we go back to the colour, we'll go back, get that light blue again we had at the start. And you just sort of, this will make it look like you've got a sandy bottom to the beach just there, coming in up to the shore. If you just run that through there. You don't want it too bright, but you just want it just enough to show that there's something, a shallow water there, which it's looking like now. Now I'm just going to go back and put some thicker white around these rocks out here before we do some foaming tricks on them. So if we covered all the rocks, oh, this one here I haven't, and this one. Just put a little bit more of this right along the front edge, I think, of the beach. I may just swap back to the land layer and just do a bit more of a crossover layer, because it's obviously two complete layers there. You don't get blending between the two. So if you try and get the exact same color on the crossover point, it can kind of give you the illusion that it is joined together, even though it's not. So that's pretty good for now. So now if I just come down, we'll go back to water layer and we go back to the puck tool. And we'll just put a little bit of this just around the rocks to make it look like we've just got a bit of uneasy water where the swell's rolled in and it's sort of rolling up the sides of them. Just doing like this. It's just doing it on the seaward side at the moment. You can get, if you studied its tides and things, you can really get it looking natural, working out which way it should be facing. And we could have it so one's just broken up onto the wave, onto the beach here, so just lay down some material, and then because we don't have to worry about the land deleting when we're in delete mode, because it's the different layer, just sort of get in there and carve a bit of a shape to it, make it look just roughly like it's sort of peeled up onto the side of the rocks there. Do the same on these ones now too. And sometimes I've found another trick is if you use the puck tool on a bit of an angle and just in delete mode and just skim the surface of the water, you can get what looks like rippling a little bit, which can be quite beneficial to inducing a bit of effect to the sculpt. If you get too much, yeah, you can delete too much, but I can just, it might go a bit bigger, and just go back to smooth, just smooth that off a little bit. Gee, I probably didn't need to do that, but it definitely looks like there's currents and things coming in and out. Maybe just mix it up a little bit because it's a little bit too uniform. Now I'll just go back to the paintbrush, just get a bit more white water around these rocks because it would be. So now we'll do some palm trees for the beach. So to do some palm trees, I'll just do one in the air because it's just a bit easier to stamp these. So I will grab the puck tool, and we're on, I'll go to layer 1 for this because we're just going to make a stamp. And we'll get puck tool, and we'll go for brown. Just go down nice and small up here because we can change the size later. And just you can just use that thumbstick to vary the size as you're going, and then just going to do a little stand of them. So they can be the trees, and I'll just give them a little bit of colour. This is just a light brown on half opacity, just to give them just some semi sort of shading. I'll go to a black for one side. Make it, it'll do for now. Just make sure the bottom of them is about the same size because we're going to stamp them. Now we'll go back to bulge deflate tool and we'll just close off the top, some of them a little bit. And then we'll go back to the puck tool on green, but may get a slightly, oh no, that green will be alright. So we'll just basically just give them some leaves now. This is the quickest way to do palm trees. It's pretty rough, but they kind of look like it in the distance, which is if you're just doing the background scenery for a wave or something. That's all you sort of need. So now we'll just go to the bulge deflate brush, favourite tool again, and just sort of deflate off the ends of them so they're a bit more pointed like palm leaves. So they're not quite so rounded like a puck tool. Let's just shape them, even though it has. It's pretty good. I'll just quickly move on to this tree, this one here. All this stuff just takes time, but it's you spend as much time as what you want the tree to look like. You could even just make one detailed leaf and re-stamp that on it. Stamping is going to blow the file size out a wee bit if you're not using exact snap, but when you're copying and pasting it, that's that one done. So we'll go on to the last one here. Getting a little bit carried away on that one. Probably enough. Now we'll just we'll put some dead leaves underneath there. So basically the same as the live ones. They quite often have dead ones hanging down when they die off. So we'll just put a few on each one. And I'll just go around with the voltage deflate tool on them again shortly. That'll do. Won't get too much. Well, these are only going to be background scenery on this one, so. And this one up here we haven't done. I'll just do this one. Oh, we might as well do a couple of coconuts in there as well, growing on the tree. That'll do us there. So now if we just go back out to the stamp tool, we'll just select those. We'll just reselect those. I don't think I quite got them all in. That'll do. Delete those. Well, you can save them if you're worried about losing the stamp. And now we'll go create another. Oh no, we'll do them on the same layer as the ground actually. So that's alright. So I'll go back to stamp. And then this is where people think if you click this it means rough copy, but if you click it, it'll actually go to exact snap, which means you won't it won't affect the surface of them and make them add more file size. I mean, it's going to add more file size because obviously they're smaller, but it won't go overboard. So for an example, if I go to rough copy, I can place them in, and I can scale them exactly, well, what position I want, and I can place those there. But I'll just go to this to show you what I mean. So at the size at the moment we have 3 megabytes. I'll just save it while we're here. So if I go to the stamp tool now, we're on rough copy, and we want our trees maybe that big, and I'll click that there. And we're still at 3. How can I show this better? I'll just carry on stamping the trees, I think. I'll just stamp 3 or 4 of them there. So now what's our file size? We're at, see, we've doubled, we've gone to 6, so I'll just undo those and I'll go do the same amount again. I'll do 4 clumps of trees on exact snap. So exact snap I have a little bit more limited. It's either the exact position and size that it was when you stamped it, but you can scale it up and down, but it will just jump like to, I'm not sure what it is. It might be double. It could be double the size maybe. So I'll put that one there. You can turn it, I think it's like 45-degree angles or 90. So I'll turn that one there. Just turn that one over that way just to make it look a bit better. That one there. So that's 4 clumps, and what's our file size? 4. So we've shaved off 2 megabytes by using exact snap and not rough copy. So suddenly that will mean you can have better visibility on the Quest. So the more you start stamping on rough copy on the Quest, you're going to really struggle to see these. I'm on PC, so it's not affecting me, but it will, even on PC, the more larger the file size gets. So we'll just get rid of that now. I just put a couple in. So go back to exact snap. Every time you change off the tool, it will change back to rough copy when you go back to the stamp tool. So you will have to click rough copy to go back to exact snap. So that should do us for now. Oh, maybe we'll put a few more clumps along there. It does look good. Oh, that one's off the ground. It's no good. Okay, that'll do us there. So we're still under 6 megabytes, and we've actually more than doubled the amount of palm trees we stamped. So now I'll just go back to bulge deflate and just attach a few of these to the ground because it was on exact snap, I wasn't able to fully follow the contour, but it kind of makes it look realistic too. Now there's another effect here I can show you using the stamp tool. Clear that one. And we'll just do this. Oh, hang on, we'll go to layer 1, so I'm not going to affect the ground here. might have a bit of an idea of what I'm up to here, but it'll become clear shortly. Go back to that, get rid of that. Oh, I need to go back to that one to get rid of that, and go back to the stamp. So we've got our stamp here. Now if you click on delete mode, I'll scale down to the water's edge here, and now if I click the stamp, I'll make sure we're on the right layer for a start, and on delete mode. That's probably a little bit small, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Now we'll mirror that. These are absolutely giant footprints, but it's just to give you the idea. Now I'll go back to bulge deflate, switch off the stamp. Oh, you could use exact snap again too if you wanted to, but I'm just going to put them so they're sort of eroded out, so they're just rough footprints in the sand. And now if I go to the water layer, which is 1.2, get our white frothy water again, and these ones over here, because the water the tide's been in, they could have a little bit of water sitting in them. And go back to the paintbrush, go back to layer 1.1, sort of wave washed in a bit here, or something like that. So you can see it's quite easy to add footprints, or I mean you could individually carve them out too. And if I want to create the illusion of jungle or forest up on the top of the hill there, go back to the puck and green, and just get it, go loose with it, just carve around, add heaps of material, just up and down all over the place, and then go back to the carve mode or sculpting mode, and just go along underneath the edges of it, just carving a little bit out here and there, and then keep the puck tool on to add, go back to a brown brush or something, and just basically looking like there's some trunks of trees under there. And now I'll get a black paint with the comb paintbrush, just get underneath that edge of it and make that look dark, like it's looking back into the forest. Go over the top of it with a bit as well, just to mix it up a bit. Probably too much there, but it's alright, just blends the colours around a little bit. So, and I'll just go back to some brown just in there, just so that they didn't fully lose their colour on the edges there. So from back here it actually looks like you've got a bit of jungle or bush up the top there. Some palm trees there. We've got our wave out here. And yeah, if you've got any questions or you want any particular tutorials done on any particular thing, just let me know and I'll give it my best shot. Otherwise, happy sculpting, and I hope that was of some way of some benefit to you. Catch you on the next one.